All right. Finally, we are live. Sorry for the late start. Sorry to keep you waiting, complicated business. But apparently my computer just simply does not know how to be a computer. You know, like when you're a computer, you're supposed to be able to click things and it works and you go beep, boop, beep, nerd stuff, whatever. Bill Gates made this thing. It didn't even work. But we're finally here. We fixed the problems with my epic producing skills. And we are set to go live. Welcome to the show. Sorry for the late start. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome everyone to the Vince Dow. See, look, my computer is such... It's so annoying, it's blocking the screen. Where do you get off, computer? Anyways, welcome to the Vince Dow Show. I am your Galaxy Brain host, Vince Dow. And before we begin, as usual, be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And if you are new, just letting you know, we do this show live every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're ever free, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, be sure to join us. We got a lot to talk about tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We got to talk about this situation in these Massachusetts schools where the little kids are now protesting against the pride stuff, okay? And this is in middle schools, and it's a pretty base story, but there's also a lot of it that's not, because why is this stuff being taught in middle schools? We're going to talk all about that story. Also, many Daily Wire hosts, specifically Michael Knowles and Candace Owens, have been given strikes. They've been temporarily suspended from YouTube. We will talk about that, what it means. Very bad situation here, and I'll let you know kind of what we need to do to fight it. And then lastly, we've been covering a lot of Andrew Tate this week because it's his big media. He's returning now to public life. Talking a little bit, I won't talk too much about it, but he did do his first return podcast today, and the power went out. They cut the power to his house. Okay, it's absolutely insane story. We'll talk about that. But before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to leave a like on the stream. Again, if you guys want to support the show, super chats are greatly appreciated. In fact, I forgot to post the... Sorry, guys, it's been a chaotic start to this stream. Let me put the super chat link here. Super chat here. Or you can do it on YouTube, obviously, but this, takes less of our money. There we go. Okay. All right. As usual, if you guys do want to super chat the show, it is greatly appreciated. Well, before we get into the show tonight, though, I do want to say three things that I'm not going to have time to cover because it's a very jam-packed news night. Firstly, happy Flag Day to both, to the United States, obviously. It is also Donald Trump's birthday, which is very interesting. Very interesting birthday there to, be born on the same day as the American flag. What does that mean? Anyways, happy birthday to our orange Caesar, obviously. We love Donald Trump. And thirdly, as usual, shame on the Republicans. I did say the other night, remember I said, look, they just indicted the former president. We need to use the same amount of political power in reverse. But remember, I also said, I'm very skeptical as to whether they're going to do it. So they had a vote today. I'm just going to very briefly mention this before we start. They had a vote just now to censure Adam Schiff, right, who is, the one who's always in Russia, always abusing the national security state, all this stuff. And the censure failed. It failed because 20 Republicans voted nay on it. Okay, so, Biden just went full steam ahead. We're going to indict the former president. His entire party, as you could imagine, is behind him. And the Republicans here, they're still our principles. So 20 Republicans actually voted against the censure, which is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. And it does go to show you, to a large degree, we are screwed. Because like I said, the only way out of this situation, the only way out of them using political power against us is we have to show that we are going to do the same thing. And they will not even vote on that. They won't even vote to censure Adam Schiff. So, you know, just not surprised, but just wanted to mention that really quickly. Shame on the Republican Party. All right, before we get into our first story here, Burgundy Blue for $20, thank you very much, says, hey, Vince, great news. My boss called off work today because of the rain, so I can watch the stream today. Well, very good. Glad to see you here. I'm so glad he called it off. We had a lot of hard labor yesterday. I literally could not move in the first half of the day. Well, thank you for the $20, Burgundy Blue. He's doing a construction job. And you know what? You know what? At least, listen, it's toughening you up. It's, you know, a little bit of manual labor never hurt anyone. You know, you're going to come out this summer freaking jacked, okay, as I can imagine, doing all that construction. So hope everything is well. Thank you for the $20, Burgundy Blue. And again, guys, if you want to super chat the show to support, it is greatly appreciated. All right, well, let's get into our first story here tonight. So, school children in Massachusetts are now actively getting involved in the culture war by protesting against the pride stuff being taught in their very own schools. And you love to see it, because for a while it's been the parents and the politicians and independent pundits like us. But now even the little kids who are affected by this stuff are getting involved in this fight. So we have the headline here from the Post Millennial. My pronouns are USA. Sorry for the freaking pop-up here, by the way. Okay, my pronouns are USA. Massachusetts middle school tries to make children wear rainbow clothing for pride. So basically they did, you know how they have those school spirit days? Maybe, you know, you haven't been in school for a while. You may remember those. Well, now many schools around this country are doing Pride school spirit days. But apparently many students have revolted and are wearing red, white, and blue. So let's scroll down here and just listen to, I believe there's a news story on this, and here it is. Yeah, let's check this out. Sorry, I'm trying to enlarge it and it won't let me. And what if I continue watching on Twitter? Can I do that? I can't. Okay. All right. We'll just listen to it. Let's go. Based kids. Sure it was. Look at the difference, by the way. You know, physiognomy, the idea that, you know, you can tell things about people from their appearance. You absolutely look at the difference between the person who was like, rah, 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 it's an emergency, and then the woman who was like, you know, my kid just did not want to wear that. Not gonna say any, just who do you think is happier? Who do you think lives a more fulfilling life? Who, you know? And that's, oh, actually, what's very interesting. So this lady here is a parent, as you can see. She's talking about her daughter. I don't know about the other person. I'm not going to make assumptions. But the little title there, I don't know if you saw it. It did not say parent. It just said community member, which seems to suggest to me she does not actually have children. She does not actually have a stake in this issue. And is that surprising, chat? Are we surprised that that individual likely does not have children? But anyways, let's play the last 15 stories here. 15 seconds, sorry, here. Oh, you guys are saying no audio? Oh, shoot. There really has been no audio the entire time. Did we really do that? Sorry, I wasn't even looking at the chat. We can't hear. All right, so are we going to just redo this then? Sorry about that. It's because the freaking start of the show is so screwed up because my computer wouldn't work. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, all right, audio should be on now. Sorry, freaking like I said, freaking I didn't have to rush the start of the show because it's stupid. All right, whatever. Been a bad day, Chad. It's been a okay. All right, now we have the audio working. Okay, here's the news story on it.
Displays of intolerance and homophobia are unacceptable.
This type of intolerant rhetoric starts in the home.
Parents angry at town hall over intolerance at Marshall Simons Middle School. Kids were asked to wear rainbow clothes in honor of Pride Spirit Day, but some organized a counter protest wearing red, white, and blue or black. The principal sharing a statement to families that pride posters were ripped down, stickers ripped up, some students chanted USA are my pronouns, and students showing pride were intimidated.
It was an unruly disruption, in fact, that was organized ahead of time.
While some parents were upset, others say it was overblown.
Some of the kids threw the stickers on the ground. But, I can only speak for my daughter. She didn't want to wear that to school. It's not that she wanted to hurt anybody's feelings.
She says her daughter felt coerced to participate in the Pride event.
Okay, I'm going to restate it for the clip because now you guys understand. So I'm going to restate what I was saying, and now you understand it in context. So notice the physical difference there, okay? People might get mad at me for saying this, but I absolutely believe physiognomy to a degree is a real thing. The idea you can tell the mental and spiritual health of a person by sort of just looking at the way they present themselves. So notice a difference between those two women. So the first one, right, totally miserable, and then she's like, this is a community disruption. And the other one is like, well, my daughter just did not want to wear that to school, and the whole display is ridiculous. Notice a little bit of the difference there, right? Can we tell? Are you surprised which one is the, one who's against this stuff and which one supports this stuff? And furthermore, I don't know if you guys caught that, but notice on the first lady, the miserable lady, this is a community disturbance. Did you notice the thing that read underneath her name? It did not say parent. It said community member. Now, maybe that's the way the news chose to portray her. Maybe she actually is a parent or teacher or whatever, but I find that very interesting. She was a community member, which seems to suggest to me she actually does not have children, much less children at that school, and she's just some random cat lady who was upset about it, which is just something to consider as we sit and listen to the rest of this.
And was offended by some of the messages, like this quote from Tennessee Williams.
Human heart cannot be straight. It is curves and winds. And my daughter just kind of said, Mom, that's offensive to me. Who?
Read that again, chat. Human heart cannot be straight. It's curved like a road through the mountains. Tennessee Williams. This is just look at this. This is like propaganda. Everyone talks about, in these other countries, look at the propaganda that's in our school. Look at this thing. That's like, everyone's like, Aurelian this, Aurelian that. That actually kind of is, though. It's like, it's the propaganda you talk about in the movie. Oop, my bad. It's the propaganda you talk about in the movies, except it's, for the certain alphabet community.
Not be straight. It is curves and winds. And my daughter just kind of said, Mom, that's offensive to me, who I am straight.
So there you have it. There's, the basics of this story. Maybe we look into the rest of this. I mean, I think you basically get the idea. Yeah, okay, confirmed. Joanne Frastacci, a Burlington resident, complained to local news that it was an unruly disruption. So, this person was not even actually involved or a teacher, it seems like. They just totally came along and were like, I didn't like that. So, it does tell you a lot. It does tell you a lot that she does not have children or any stake in the fight, right? But here's the thing. I can't imagine. Shout out to these kids, by the way. But I can't imagine what that whole situation must be like, okay? And what I was thinking about this, because I've had this similar experience when I was in school and still am in school and stuff. I wonder how many kids, you had the bold ones, the brave ones who either didn't wear anything or just straight up wore USA colors. Very cool. We like to see it. But I really have to wonder how many kids did wear pride stuff that day, or at least tried to wear something rainbow-ish, simply because they were scared of a bad grade. Because I have to imagine that's going to be the repercussion of all this. All of the students who wore red, white, and blue, or black, or whatever. And this is a middle school, by the way. Just keep that in mind. You think this is not a high school. It's not a college. Not that this stuff should exist in the first place, but this is not any of those things, right? This is a middle school. I really do have to wonder, though, how many of these kids are going to face, especially it's almost the end of the school year, how many kids on that final essay, are going to get a bad grade? And before you might say, Vince, no one's really going to care. It's middle school. Are the teachers really that political? Does anyone take it all that seriously? And if you say that, I have to say you probably not came out of school a very long time ago, because I will say this. I went to middle school in 2015, 2016-ish. My teachers were very, very political. In fact, I've told this story several times on this show. In fact, I'm going to tell a part of it now that I didn't. But I've told the story many times about how my 7th grade history teacher gave me, I kid you not, a D plus or a C minus every single time I wrote opinions that were critical of hers, especially in regards to Islam. Keep in mind, this was 2015, 2016. The whole debate over radicalism and terrorism was a big thing. And at the time, I was not even a conservative, but I used to write kind of mild things from a sort of, I don't know, whatever, skeptical perspective every single time. C minus, D plus, every single time, okay? My 8th grade teacher as well. He was a big time liberal. I never had personal problems with him, but I will tell you, he took our 8th grade class to the Women's March. Okay, the first ever Women's March in DC, at the inauguration. He took the 8th grade class on a field trip to the Women's March. You know what the Women's March is, chat, right? That big feminist liberal march in DC. 8th grade. This was not 2023, right? That was a long time ago, sort of, I guess, to some people. This was 2017. My 8th grade teacher took him to the Women's March, which, keep that in mind, the Women's March is a political event. It basically is a rally for the Democratic Party. He used public taxpayer dollars in Los Angeles to take the kids all the way to DC to take them to the Women's March. So before you say, middle school teachers don't get political, I don't think it will be a big deal. So that's why I say props to every young kid who may even arguably be too young to truly understand the gravity of the culture war they are in. Props to every young kid who had the guts to do this, because they know and I know, I understand middle school GPA doesn't count for a lot, but you're definitely going to face repercussions for this in a good way, in the fact that, that's the price of righteousness. And so we absolutely love to see it. But yeah, don't get it twisted. Let me keep that in mind. This was a middle school. Okay. So as you know, and I don't have to say this again, but this stuff is starting in middle school. Frankly, sometimes I've been seeing it start in elementary school. We know, we say it all the time. They are pushing it on your kids. I guess the question though is why? Why are they pushing it on your kids? And as we reflect on this story, I suppose really quickly, I'd like to sort of address that debate and answer that debate. Well, the answer is, I think it's beyond even politics. The answer is they are actively trying to push your children into being alphabet people, right? It's not even that they're trying to push certain political ideas on kids, which they are. It's bigger than that. They are trying to push on your kids to sexually identify in these ways, which is why they constantly bombard everyone like it, and why the second any young boy or girl portrays any characteristics of the opposite sex, they act slightly more feminine or slightly more masculine, they decide they want to wear pink, the state-sponsored legal approach is to say, okay, put them on hormones, put them in a dress right immediately, right? Of course, the left will deny this. They will say it's all about visibility. It's about awareness. We're not trying to turn your kids into it. We're just trying to make the kids tolerate it. That's the excuse they will use. And then very often they'll say, we can't turn people into this alphabet crowd because they're born that way, right? And this is the excuse they always use. They're born that way. They're born that way. But as I brought up very often on the show, that is actually not true, okay? Let me say, there is a reason why there are a record high number of kids our age identifying as LGBT. That's not an accident. If this always existed in the way it did, you would have seen the same numbers throughout history. Yet suddenly now it's on the rise so much, okay? And let me be clear, for all of the cope you hear about it, there never has been found any real evidence of a genetic link to homosexuality, right? You always talk about the gay gene. There never really has been found that to exist, okay? And if you guys might remember, a few months ago, I put out this huge challenge to this movement. I said, if you guys claim that this is all nature and no nurture and we can't control it, which is why we need to put up with all the type of stuff that we do and just whatever, go la, then I said, very specifically, you guys remember this? I said, find me the gay gene, show it to me. It does not exist, right? Despite decades of searching for it, it does not exist, okay? Why? Because it is almost all, if not entirely, an issue of nurture, not nature, okay? Which means, indeed, that it is something that can be controlled, hence why they are pushing it on your children. Do you understand that? Why they're pushing all of these ideas onto those who are influenceable, and hence why we refer to them as groomers, right? People say that term is mean or whatever. No, it is what that's exactly what they are doing through this stuff. Okay, understand that they're trying to get your kids to identify with the alphabet, blah blah blah. And let me say, the one counter argument on the genetic front, I will acknowledge to a degree, there is one way in which people sometimes can be born this way, which is prenatal hormones, right? The hormones you're kind of exposed to when you're in the womb. the problem with that argument, though, is that, yeah, to some degree, stuff just happens. I understand that. But to a large degree, prenatal hormone exposure can be controlled. Actually, in many ways, too, that just proves the conservatives right. The very schizo far-right conspiracy theorist conservatives, because what have they been saying for a very long time? There's poison in the food. There's poison in the air. There's poison maybe even in the water. It's making women infertile. It's destroying sperm count. It's destroying estrogen, testosterone, all of that stuff. All these microplastics and everything, they contain what? Phytoestrogen, right? And, you know, there's so much microplastic in everything that phytoestrogen and microplastics are now being found in placentas. In the placentas of babies, they are detecting traces of plastic. Plastic has a bunch of estrogen in it. Well, then why are there so many young boys nowadays, more so than before, who are coming out that way? You see what we're saying? So in every single way, you know, conservatives are entirely right. Even if you want to look at prenatal hormone exposures, right? It is a part of the greater psyop, okay? And so understand that. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to turn your kids this way. Why do they want to make your kids that way? Well, on that front, I'm not sure what I really can and can't say on YouTube. So I won't really get into maybe the reasons there, other than perhaps saying, think about reproduction and I'll say how that can happen naturally and how that would have to happen artificially in order to continue a certain... That's all I'll say. Okay, that's it. I'm done here. But anyways, little tangent there, but shout out to these kids, and you know, shout out to everyone who's sticking up against this stuff. But parents especially, I mean, to the best of your ability, you guys need to be cognizant of what's going on and why it's happening. Okay, and do not underestimate the fact that simply exposing so many kids to these ideas at such a young age can make them just come over to those ideas, right? Or you know, for instance, the transformer thing, that's a big one here, okay? The switching of you-know-whats, right? Where do kids get their phases from? What do they usually adopt their phases from? It's something in the pop culture. It's something else they saw that they're like, that's cool, I want to do that, I want to be like that. So that's why we go through our dinosaur phases, our ninja phases. We have our music phases, right? When I was little, I had rap phases, rock phases, you know, I went through it all. So if there's constantly this thing of, you know, a certain alphabet, understand, and if that's everywhere, understand the psychological operation going on there. Yeah, don't let them write it off by saying no one can control that, they're just born that way. No, they're 100% actively making people this way through their conditioning, and think what you will of that, but I'm just letting you know that. But all right, let me get caught up here on the super chats. Okay, Christopher for $10 says, on the subject of schools, I know you probably mentioned it before, but are non-public schools or homeschools the future? I think these schools need to suffer. Thank you for the $10, Christopher. So here's my thing. Here's my take on it, is that yes, but I think we also that's not really, that's a cop-out response in many ways, in my opinion. It's not that I don't think you should homeschool or private school, whatever, your own children, but, you know, it's the same thing when we say, bro, you don't like that woke Hollywood movie? Why do you watch it then? Just don't watch it. Why do you talk about it? See, the problem is that if you're going to live in a country, you have to understand that, hey, well, most kids in our country are going to go to public school. I can pull out my own kids and say, I'm going to homeschool them, and that's fine. I encourage everyone to do that. But we cannot give up this public school fight by just taking everyone out. Because what about, you know, that's what, 5% of us, 10% of us? What about the 90% of other kids who, you know, are going to stay in these schools, and then you are totally giving up on them because you don't care, because you're like, just retreat us, that's it, I'm just going to homeschool. Which, again, I'm not saying don't homeschool, but this is why we have to still address the public school thing 24/7, because then what happens? Well, you actually did a disservice to your children by doing that. And I'll tell you why. Because, yeah, it's noble that you tried to protect them. But then once they enter the real world, once they turn 18, they will inherit a country that is entirely overran by the other 90%. And they are going to be screwed still regardless, politically, economically, personally, all that stuff. And it will partially, in many ways, to honestly be your fault, right? I'm not saying you, but, you know, the exercise here. It will partially be your fault, because when those other kids we're having all this stuff, you know, pushed down on them by the public education system. You didn't care because you said it didn't affect your kids. And then they're going to grow up in a world where actually it freaking does affect them. And you screwed them over, right? You could argue in many ways this is a failure that past generations have already made, is that sort of mentality. So I definitely think for us personally, yeah, if you want a homeschool, if you want a private school, that's probably better. But politically speaking, we cannot stop looking at the public education thing, which I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying because I know a lot of people will just have this very retreatist mindset where they're just like, well, I don't care, just don't participate in the system. It's like, yeah, I get that. I'm not telling people to participate in it, but you still have to be cognizant of what's happening in the system, especially if you consider yourself to be a patriot, because a patriot's not a narcissist, right? A patriot cares about the rest of the country around them. So if you're going to be a patriot, you have to actually care about what's happening around you. And so this is very true. Sheeny Beanie for $5. Thank you very much. Says, go vegan and get chemical food shipped in plastic, made in a lab, and shipped from Timbuktu rather than meat is natural. That is natural and wrapped in paper. Thank you for the $5, Sheeny Beanie. Yeah, veganism is a total psyop. But it's especially psyop, yeah, to, you know, emasculate men. I actually think to some degree women can get away with being vegan, although still a lot of them tell me all their hair falls out, so it's still not that natural. But I think really the biggest problem with veganism biologically is the fact that you don't get exposure to testosterone and to protein, into testosterone boosting proteins. Don't tell me, oh, well, I eat soy protein, I eat plant-based protein. Yeah, it's a little bit different there, isn't it? So, and that affects men more than women, which is why it's more detrimental, in my opinion, for a man to be vegan than a woman. With that said, like I said, I've heard very often women say that they have problems being vegan too. So it just further goes to show that it's just not natural. Okay, before we move on here to our next story, let me really quickly make sure we didn't get anything on Streamlabs really quickly. Hold on, let me check that here. We're gonna make sure. Okay, we did not. Yeah, okay. All right, we're caught up here. As usual, if you guys want to super chat to support the show, it is greatly appreciated. But all right, we move on here, ladies and gentlemen, on a similar topic, though. On a similar topic. Here we go. So we got to talk about this situation over at the Daily Wire. Okay. So I have not talked about this. Actually, I should say I missed the opportunity to talk about this when it happened because there's been so much other news this week we've been covering. But I did want to mention this and address this, which is the fact that Michael Knowles and I believe Candace Owens too, if I'm not mistaken, have been suspended. They've been given a community guideline strike for 1 week from YouTube for allegedly violating the platform's hate speech policies. As you could imagine, this is related to discussion of the alphabet stuff, you know what I mean? But let's get into the details here, because here's the biggest issue with YouTube is, and all the time, and this is why I'm always scared. I don't know what's ever going to happen. I never, and the biggest thing, I never know what I can and can't say, because if you go and look at the YouTube guidelines around hate speech, and maybe I'll just read them out here on stream so you guys can all see, they are incredibly vague, they are incredibly confusing, and they are enforced incredibly inconsistently. But just to give you guys the details here, check this out. So we look at the reasons here. Okay, so YouTube has now specified why I was banned from a week. Let's take a look at the offending content. All right, so long story short, okay, so Knowles goes on to say, we have to live according to the delusions of these troubled people, okay? So fundamentally, I guess he's saying if you use the term delusions or troubled to refer to this ideology, to these people, to this movement, that apparently constitutes hate speech, because it implies that some groups are mentally inferior, okay, and that constitutes hate speech. So it's very interesting then. So if you were to say the same thing about schizophrenia, if you say, you know, we need to help, so let's plug that in, right? We have to live according to the delusions of these troubled people. If you said that same exact thing, saying we should not live according to the delusions of schizophrenic people, technically, I guess, according to YouTube, that would be considering, hey, these people are mentally inferior, and that constitutes hate speech. See the problem with these guidelines? But we go on here. Knowles featured another clip with a young woman crying after receiving a card that her grandmother, so that whole video, remember that video, And then he said, this is how you respond to any loved one, any family member, any friend who tells you that he or she is now transgender. The Daily Wire host revealed that YouTube claimed his response to the video suggesting a loved one may have psychological problems constituted hate speech. Okay? So if you apparently imply, at least I think, because again, I never know, they don't actually specify these guidelines, and frankly, someone should bring a lawsuit on that alone, on the fact that their guidelines are unclear. I'm surprised there's not been legal action already taken there. But if you suggest that a transgender person may have psychological problems, apparently that constitutes hate speech. So apparently, if you read the DSM, right, the whole thing on, you know, that's the top psychological handbook of that there is. If you read the DSM definition of gender dysphoria, I believe it still is, but at least let's say from 2019 or 2018. If you read the DSM definition of gender dysphoria from 2019, does that constitute hate speech, YouTube? I'm very confused. I don't understand this at all. Okay, and like I said, it's never clear. We never actually know. And it seems very obvious to me that YouTube is just being pressured to do this, or internally and externally, I should say, because What is a Woman is so popular. Daily Wire is getting such good numbers on this content addressing the alphabet stuff, and I'd have to assume that's why it's happening. But then we go on here. The proper use of the English language, which YouTube calls misgendering, apparently constitutes hate speech under the new rules, he said. So apparently, if you quote-unquote misgender, that breaks the guidelines. Which furthermore, I'm like, but the guidelines don't actually say that. In fact, let's pull this up here, okay? Let's see. YouTube guidelines on hate speech, okay? We probably won't go through all of this, but just to give you a very brief thing here. So just Google it right now if you want to go along with me, okay? The YouTube guidelines on hate speech. None of this is said. It doesn't say any of this anywhere. All it says is hate speech is not allowed on YouTube. We remove content promoting violence or hatred against individuals based on the following attributes. And it goes on, you know, age, ethnicity, gender, identity, and expression, all that stuff. So Michael Knowles nowhere here promotes violence, nor does he promote hatred, right? How does it promote? If you say, as a Christian, which he is, if you say, I love these people, but I think they are troubled, I think they need to seek psychological help, that is not encouraging hatred. That is encouraging help, right? But see, that's all it says. I kid you not. All it says is you cannot promote violence or hatred. It provides like 2 examples that don't apply here. So that's the issue with YouTube. These are the YouTube guidelines. These are the guidelines that all of us creators operate under, which is why sometimes, like, I never know. And so that's why sometimes I'll just, none of us ever know even when we are and are not breaking these guidelines. It is just ridiculous. It's absolutely all over the place. With that said, what I will say is this, okay? Because I think this now new precedent, if it's going to become the new precedent, because I have no idea, if this is the new precedent from YouTube, then we need to have a little talk here, okay, about the future of this channel and how we're going to do this content. Because even if I don't get taken down, which obviously can happen to anyone, but let's say that doesn't happen. A problem I've been getting very frequently on YouTube, and I never had this before, is all of a sudden, virtually all of the content I'm doing, or at least for a while, and the last few days has been a little bit better, but for a span of a few weeks, every single little thing I would post immediately would get demonetized. Okay? It would just immediately. And I was going through the reasons why. I was trying to figure this out, and they've actually changed. Now, this is specific. YouTube has changed their monetization guidelines to where, I kid you not, you know, what can monetize and what cannot monetize. It basically straight up says that any political debate around transgenderism will not get monetized on YouTube. You don't believe me, you know, you could try this yourself. Upload a video to YouTube, actually, if you're not monetized. I'll show you guys in the next video. I'm going to do a follow-up video on this. But I kid you not. The new YouTube guideline is that any political debate on transgenderism is not monetizable. So that leaves a creator like me in a very interesting predicament, right? You know, I'm not with a network. I'm not syndicated. We have a few sponsors. We love our sponsors, but there's nothing like super big here. And so if I can't monetize on YouTube, which, you know, I'm running the risk right now, the whole channel gets demonetized and we're totally screwed. What do we do? Okay. So I will announce this now. It's not entirely ready, but I will announce this now. I'm not leaving YouTube. I'm not going to do that willingly. But I do want to start a platform where we don't have to worry about A, deplatforming, or B, demonetization, right? And so I kind of want to try to create this like income base outside of YouTube. And so that's why I'm announcing today, chat, I will be starting a locals channel. If you don't know what locals is, it's basically like Patreon, but it's owned by Rumble, right? It's the Rumble version of Patreon, or sort of a subscription-based website. And so I'm going to hopefully try to set up a thing on there where, you know, that way we can have this like base income, hopefully, like, you know, subscription based. So if the super, you know, so it has a lot of utilities, right? Because if we get totally demonetized by YouTube, then we still have the locals income. Or if we have, you know, just a bad night of super chats, locals income, right? So I'm just letting you know right now, we are starting that locals channel. Link is in the description, or you can go to thevincedao.locals.com. I believe the subscription thing starts at sign up to be you can be a member and a supporter. Sign up to be a supporter, starts at $5 a month. The premium tier is at $15. I will be announcing more of the perks and the exclusive stuff of that soon. And it'll also be a place where you can post content that I can't even say on YouTube. So that'll be very good. But just letting you know there, I am going to be building some sort of alternative thing off of YouTube, because even if we stay on this platform, which you never know, but I think for now we're fine. My big issue is everything I do gets demonetized, right? So that's the issue. So be sure to go support the locals channel. In fact, I think I can type it in the live chat right now. Let me see. www.thevincedao.locals.com. That link should work. If it does not, okay, it doesn't work. Okay, mods, can someone help me out there? But it is the link in the description. Okay, link is definitely in the description if you want to go support. That's greatly appreciated. But yeah, in conclusion, long story short, this is just deeply concerning for all of us, just content creators in general. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if we're going to be able to continue to do what, just not just me, but what conservatives have been doing on YouTube the last few months. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. It's concerning. And like I said, the reason I don't know the answer to that question, I never know what YouTube's guidelines actually are. Because I read them to you. All it says is you can't disparage people on the basis of their identity. You can't promote hatred or violence. It's like, okay, I don't do either of those things. I don't advocate for violence. I don't hate these people. But then all this stuff is labels. So what does that mean? Again, you don't know. You never know. You do not have the answer, right? We're about to talk about Andrew Tate in a second. And let me bring this up as an example. So Andrew Tate, as a joke, but as a joke, he said, I'm now a woman, because someone said, I think Nina Turner said, if you identify as a woman, you are a woman. So Andrew Tate tweeted out, okay, I'm a woman. So if I call Andrew Tate a he, okay, that's like, if I call Andrew Tate a he on this platform, is that hate speech? Like, I don't know. You don't know, because YouTube does not actually define what the rules are. So none of us know. It's the entire thing is just, if a YouTube moderator or their higher ups decide we don't like this content, we can use these very vague guidelines to say it fits in the definition and do it. It's very concerning, just incredibly concerning. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on, let me read some of the chats here and see. I don't think we got any super chats, but let me get caught up here on some of the chats. Sheeny Beanie says XY equals use a man. Now be careful there, Sheeny Beanie. I believe if you say that, that is actually against YouTube guidelines. Apparently, like, I have no idea. I don't actually know. So, you know, it is what it is. Ambiguous terms aren't good terms. Well, they keep them ambiguous on purpose. Because the thing is, if they had to specify the guidelines, think about it. One of two things would happen, right? Either they could not arbitrarily ban people for subjective reasons. That's either number one, or number two, they'd have to be full-scale transparent about what really constitutes hate speech to them. And people would universally read that and be like, this is so unbelievably ridiculous and silly. How is this allowed on the platform? You see that? So that's why they keep them ambiguous, because so that way they can just morph them to mean whatever they want to mean at the current time. I would argue, I mean, to me, I think that's illegal, right? There's no way. With all the stuff now, I'd have to imagine, right? You can do some type of civil lawsuit or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that should be looked into. Someone who has been banned from YouTube for this subjective stuff that, you know, they can't define. Someone should look into pursuing a lawsuit. I don't know, Heritage Action or whatever, you know, conservative legal fund, because you can't have these intentionally vague guidelines and then consistently arbitrarily use them to ban whoever you want. You know, that has to break some type of law. I have no idea. But anyways, here Lionel says I would look into co-streaming on Rumble. I mean, I've been looking to set that up, but I'm still confused on how it works. To tell you the truth. But probably like next week. I've been meaning to set that up. Probably next week I'll try to start multi-streaming to Rumble. I was gonna multi-stream to Twitter because I saw everyone's been doing that, but apparently I think you have to be a business account to do it because I clicked the button. Does anyone know that answer? But I don't know. We'll have to take a look at that. But the anti-white woke BS is allowed. Strange. Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. That 100%, right? Let me read that again. Hold on. Okay. Hate speech is not allowed. We remove content promoting violence or hatred towards individuals or groups. Okay. White people are a group. Men are a group. Yet if someone on this platform outright says, I hate white people or I hate men, you know what happened, right? Obviously, right? They're not going to care, right? I hate men. Especially if some woman who's just scorned, can't stand men. That is, by definition, promoting hatred against a group of people, specifically a gender identity. Of course, that's their word. I sorry I said gender identity, but that's what they say here. It says gender identity. But of course, right, as we know, and that's not surprising, but the YouTube guidelines are not even equally enforced. My point in bringing that up is this suggests to me that some type of lawsuit is certainly possible. I don't know. I'm just saying I think it should certainly be looked into. But anyways, guys, as usual, if you want to support the show, feel free to do so by sending in a super chat. And we are at 94 likes, so let's go on here and get the stream to 100 likes. Andrew M says, how do you define hatred or hate speech? Well, funny enough, you asked that, Andrew M. I go on the website here, and there are only a few examples, okay? And none of the examples constitute what Michael Knowles did. I'm reading them all here right now. You can't call people a disease. You can't say their brains are smaller. You can't say... So it's like, okay, I see all this, you know, I'm not... Now, I think it's still protected by the First Amendment, but I see all this, okay. But nothing here suggests what they told Michael Knowles. There are... I'm reading through them now, okay? I clicked more examples, so there are, I guess, more in fairness. None of these examples say it. So it's I don't know. I have no idea. Very subjectively. Exactly. And they keep it that way for a reason. They absolutely keep it that way for a reason. But okay, ladies and gentlemen. Well, let's move on here. What time is 8:48? Okay, we still got some time. All right, let's move on here very briefly, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to talk about this for too long because we've talked about it quite a bit throughout the whole week. But I do want to talk about this very briefly. So Andrew Tate just did his first emergency meeting podcast ever since jail. So that's his first like original own podcast back. And I just want to mention this. He peaked at 435,000 live viewers on one live stream. It's absolutely insane. So obviously he's on Rumble, and go check out the Rumble and watch it and all that. But 435,000. That is absolutely ridiculous. So it was so massive that it not only broke Rumble, okay, it broke the site. In a lot of other countries besides the US, it broke the site. And apparently it even broke the power grid, because in the middle of them doing this podcast, I don't know what happened. See, I think they cut the power. I think someone cut the power. Whether that was the Romanian government or just someone trying to sabotage him who's independent, who knows? It seems to me someone cut the power grid to the house. But in the middle of the podcast, very suspiciously, power goes out. He's posted this picture. I have no idea what's going on there, okay? But I look at those two things combined, and I'll tell you what I think of it, okay? So first of all, say what you will about him, but the guy is more influential than ever. And honestly, I think a lot of conservatives who constantly just brush him off underestimate how influential he is. 435,000 live viewers. That's historic on the internet. And even if people might call into question, oh, Rumble is, I don't know if those views are trustworthy, then, okay, but look at the Patrick Bet-David thing. That was a premiere early in the morning, and it peaked at, what, like 100,000 something. So still, you know, it's very big regardless. But on that front, I will say, that is also why I, to a degree, I'm going to be honest, kind of fear for the guy's safety. okay, to tell you the truth. Because I was thinking that when the power went out. I was like, you know, first of all, I didn't think it was just a coincidence. But furthermore, I know most people think, oh, they're just trying to cut off the stream. My experience, just the things I know, I thought further than that. I was like, they're trying to cut off his lights so that, like, not, God forbid, obviously, don't want any of those things to happen to him. But no, I was like, the guy better watch his six, right? So that's why I'm concerned here on two levels. Firstly is the trial itself. So I watched the podcast. They both seem very confident that, look, we did nothing wrong and you know, the trial should be fine. And Tristan actually brought up an interesting point, which is that you say, oh, I shouldn't want to be tried in Romania because, you know, it's corrupt, quote unquote. But Romania is mostly, the people there are Christian and conservative. So the judge and the jury in this country are on their side. And to that I say, I agree, right? And I've talked about this before. I've said, you know, this is not the fault of the people in Romania. The Romanian people are very similar to the Hungarians, the Polish, right? They're a socially conservative, Christian, Eastern European country, and we understand that, right? But the issue is, and one of you guys actually explained this to me the other day, is that the Romanian government is basically a puppet state of the European Union, of the EU, right? So that's the real issue here, is international pressure, okay? As you can imagine, like many other governments, the Romanian government is easily corruptible. And considering they are already basically a puppet of the EU, which that's a globalist institution, we know where that stands, especially considering you have to imagine some calls were made from the UK, from the US. As a matter of fact, they revealed today they believe the U.S. Embassy was directly involved in this whole situation, which is also part of why, unrelated note, that's part of why I always say it's relevant to us, because I know a lot of people have come to me saying, Vince, why do you care about this so much? Why do you talk about this so much? It's a foreign country. And to that I say, I don't think you understand what's happening here. This is not an issue of the Romanian government decided it didn't like Andrew and Tristan Tate. This is a matter of the EU, the UK, the USA, according to today as well, kind of, you know, made some calls here and made that happen. And so sure, they may be taking advantage to a degree of the corrupt or broken aspects of the Romanian justice system, but make no mistake, right? This is an international thing. And that's a point they brought up a lot here. But that also makes me concerned. If the CIA can kill anyone at once, which they do, if they can commit coups in other countries to overthrow entire governments, you mean to tell me they can't interfere or put their hands in one little court case, bribe a judge, threaten a judge, replace a judge? Hypothetically, in theory? It makes me concerned. Makes me very concerned. I don't know the answer to that. And then you consider the UK. You consider the fact that the EU, the institution that basically oversees Romania, you know where they stand. And then beyond that, and I know they are aware of this, but if it all fails, if the trial fails, if they're found not guilty, fails on their part, I should say, if the censorship fails, and like you see in the numbers today, they are more relevant than ever, who's to say that the CIA or whoever is out to get them doesn't just literally decide to, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, right? And there's more than one way that can happen, right? Like, you know, obviously you can have security and all that stuff, but also there are other ways, you know, the under the table that I'm not trying to speculate. And let me be clear for YouTube guidelines. I absolutely do not want these things to happen, but these are genuine safety concerns of mine. Okay. So I don't know. I saw that happen today. I saw the power go out on to the whole house. And, you know, I have to say, it's interesting and it's concerning. And it's concerning to me, too, you know? Because I know that's the excuse everyone's going to use. It's Romania. Who cares, Vince? It's Romania. It's not just Romania, though. Frankly, Romania itself has very little to do with this. Do you seriously believe that if they were in the UK, if that's where they lived? I mean, look at what the UK is doing now. Look at what they did to Tommy Robinson, right? Tommy Robinson's been in jail for how many years in that country? You mean to tell me if this all happened in the UK, you don't think the same thing would happen? The US, I will admit, I still think our legal system in some ways is better than a lot of places, but I still, you know, it's still... So it's all to say. I know they already are, but I hope they're watching their back, and it's crazy to see. It's crazy to see. There's definitely something going on here for sure. But all right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is 8:54 p.m. That wraps up my main stories for today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about here. Let's see. but yeah, obviously I pray for both of their safety, honestly, because their role right now in the culture, as I've said before, is important, it's crucial, and there's a reason they're being censored, and I absolutely believe that. Oh, actually, there is one thing I wanted to talk about here. Today is the 6-month anniversary of when I broke Vice News. It's for some reason everything crazy on this channel. It always happens on the 14th day of the month. Okay, as you guys know, 7/14. Some people know what that is. Some people don't. Whatever. We have 7/14. We have the Vice panel, and then we have today, which is the anniversary, and also the day where my computer decides it doesn't want to work. It's all crazy, chat. It's all crazy. What is it about 14th days of the month, okay? I bet every 14th day of the month from now on, I need to watch out. There might be an anvil that just comes down, okay? But it is indeed the 6-month anniversary of Vice News. Which, should we play it? Should we react to it? I don't actually have it pulled up, but just wanted to bring that up and mention that. But let's take a look here. Michael says, I believe he was one of the largest YouTubers ever banned by YouTube. I don't even remember how much he had when he was on YouTube, because, to be honest, I knew who he was for a long time, but I'm serious when I say this. I did not pay attention to them at all until after he got arrested. That was the only thing that made me curious, right? Which does go to show you, to an extent, the power of martyrdom, because you have me. I genuinely, I didn't pay attention to them before. As everyone has. I saw a few videos of them, and I was like, okay, whatever. You know, I just thought he was some red pill coach or whatever. That's what I thought of him. Learned since that, you know, he's a little bit more sophisticated than that. But, you know, I saw the martyrdom thing happen. I was interested. I was like, okay, clearly there's something going on here that the West is after him for. And yeah, now, like many people, I think I'm a newcomer, and now I am fascinated by everything that happens to them, because it's hard to look away. Absolute magnet of attention. Brian E says, you went from like 19k subs to 162k in 6 months. That's amazing. Thank you, Brian E. I appreciate that very much. It's been a combination of things. It's been, you know, people say, oh, it was all because of Vice, and that's the excuse that my haters use all the time. But you guys who were here, you remember, I got how many subscribers from Vice? Like 1,000 to 2,000. You know, I got a few. And then what happened was the shorts, if you'll remember this, right? I started posting the shorts. Those absolutely blew up, and I was really grinding every single day to make sure those got out. And then it was, you know, the Daily Wire and all those big YouTubers picked it up. It went viral because people were sharing the clips, so that you had that second life in February. But the channel still, in terms of growth, is doing very well, and we've been long past the Vice thing, so... You know, I know that my haters always keep bringing that up. They say, oh, you're only famous because of one panel. Like, okay, well, the channel's still growing. You know, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, it is awesome, and I'm grateful to God, obviously. And you know, we're still on the climb. We're still on the journey. I think we're just getting started. But here we go here. So, anyways, let's take a look. Okay, we'll just go to Super Chat and Q&A, I suppose. So yeah, let's just do that now. We'll do that till 9:30. I got some stuff to do tonight, but we'll go till 9:30. So next half hour, we are open, ladies and gentlemen, to questions, comments, thoughts. The Super Chats are obviously open. All Super Chats are greatly appreciated. They will be prioritized as usual in the Q&A portion. And yeah, all right, let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. Ashley S says based panel though. True. Yeah, that was fun. I do not for one moment ever regret doing that. It's funny, some people told me at the time, they were like, how can you do that? And it's very funny, some people were accusing me of, they think I'm like working with the liberals because I was going on Vice, it was whatever. But I remember everyone was like, they're there to set you up, they're there to set you up. I was like, guys, I know, okay, you don't think I know that? So my thought the whole time was, you just have to dominate, because they're going to try to cut you up out of context. They're going to try to screw around with the editing. I knew that. People in my comments kept telling me that. I'm like, you don't think I know that? Okay, I'm not blind, I know. No, but the thing is, my mentality with that was, okay, you have to dominate the entire panel to the point where it is impossible for them to cut you up. Because even if they cut you up here, you can't cut them up. It's like trying to whack a mole, right? So I was like, you have to be the mole who makes a hole in every single thing. So that way they can't whack you out, or if they do, they would have to just edit out the entire thing. So if you want the insider knowledge, that was my psychology going into it. So every single question, for the most part, the SAT stuff was so boring to me, I didn't talk about it a lot. But every single interesting question, I was the first one to speak up. I immediately, tried on purpose to be the center of the discussion. People are always like, are you the only one on that panel? There were other people, and shout out to the other conservatives. But, part of the reason I'm the center or the memory of that panel is because I knew that's what I had to do, okay? And it wasn't even a matter of me trying to, quote-unquote, go viral or dominate the panel. The reason I spoke so much is because I knew that if I only said a little bit, it's easy for them to edit that out or edit that up, right? But I also knew if you don't shut up and you dominate the entire time and you don't lose the argument on a single point, what can they do to you? Because if all the footage is you talking and you debating, what are they going to do? Cut out the entire panel? They can't do that, right? So that was my mentality. And I knew you do that correctly, you win. And I left the panel knowing, like, I did that. I did that. And honestly, when I look back at the editing of the Vice panel, if you want my insider takes, I mean, there were a few moments that they cut out that I'm like, I wish they left that in because that was hilarious. But for the most part, it really was fairly accurate, I do have to say. Like I said, there's a few moments like when I called some people low IQ and then they got mad. This was a little bit later, and maybe it's good they cut that out, because then some people will be like, why is he? But you know what I mean. But yeah, for the most part, it was pretty accurate of the way the whole thing actually went. And why was that? It was because I knew that they could not cut me up too much. I knew that. And I knew that because why? Because if they did that, they'd have to cut out the entire panel. So there's free insider advice. If you, for any reason, future content creators, if you're ever in that situation, that's what you have to do, okay? They're going to cut you up. You can't get around it. You have to speak so much and just so clearly the whole time that it's impossible for them to do anything different, right? So... And then some people were also, most people get it, but some people were like, why didn't you say this? Or why didn't you say that? It was like, because I knew those were things that were easy to cut up out of context. That was the other thing, right? I tried to make sure that no little soundbite could even be misconstrued. So I made sure all of my thoughts, it was the whole thing, I just made sure I was very careful about what I say, much more careful than I honestly am on a normal show, right? So that was the experience, and that's kind of the part of the way I went away that did. Now, if you watch the end of the panel, the end credits, there is one point where they're clearly trying to screw me over, where they say, I think the term Asian Americans should be erased without context. And like, yeah, that was a little bit cheap, but it was whatever. You watch the whole panel, it was fine. I knew they were going to try to do something with that, but for the most part, yeah. So anyways, Christopher for $10. Thank you very much, Christopher. God bless you. Says, I started volunteering today teaching CCD after school religious education. I started seeing that kids today are a bit rebellious against the system. 2 boys in my class admire Andrew Tate. Thank you for the $10, Christopher. I'm very curious, actually, what age is that? Because, what's funny is that when I was in middle school, it was the same way, okay? Before Andrew Tate's like the new youth, right? When we were kids, it was people like Leafy. It was Leafy is here. It was Ben Shapiro. I don't even know if Jordan Peterson was around back then, but I do remember Ben Shapiro. And it was a few others. It was that anti-SJW commentary side of YouTube. Incredibly edgy, incredibly offensive at quote-unquote at times, but all based, right? And I remember that was who we all were in middle school, okay? I was incredibly anti-politically correct. I mean, some of the things I said in middle school, I probably don't even say today because I was, you know what I mean? But, what happened is everyone goes to high school, in my experience. Everyone goes to high school and they just get bombarded and they just, I don't know, something about that I guess that early prepubescent, it's not prepubescent, that early pubescent male energy is so rebellious. And then I don't know what it is. I don't know what happens. But or maybe it's just that the school system gets more intense once you get to high school with the indoctrination, right? But something about that, All my friends that I went to middle school with, by the end of 12th grade, most of them, the male ones, they're all liberals. They're all liberals. They don't come after me, but things are kind of awkward between us. You know what I mean? We don't talk anymore, that's for sure. And it's very strange. I guess maybe I'm the only one who never lost his shine. You know what I mean? Who never lost that same mentality in middle school, that all this political correctness and whatnot was garbage. Because I remember all my middle school, we all used to make fun of feminists. Even the ones that weren't political. We would make fun of feminists. We would make jokes that would probably be deemed hate speech today. And it was all a good time. My multiracial male friend group, things were never tighter. You know, things it was a brotherhood. It really was. And then we all go to high school, and then half of them are libtards, and then the other half are just too scared, and I'm the only one who's like, guys, I'm still here. I'm still here. And what they're gonna say is, so Vince, you're saying you didn't grow up, you never grew up? That's not what I'm saying. Actually, I'm just saying I never let them take that spirit from me, you know? Because it's still in me. Deep down, there's still a little bit of that teenager in me who's like, yeah, offensive humor is funny. What are you going to do about it? Screw the fat feminists. It's true. Kidding, of course. Joking. That's a joke. YouTube. But anyways, Burgundy Blue for $2 says, are you considering doing a members block today? I can't because I have stuff to do. It's the end of my little summer semester here, so I got to, like, get stuff done. But I know I didn't do one last week because I wasn't feeling that well. I'll definitely do one this week for sure. Maybe tomorrow. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have anything to do tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? No, tomorrow's Thursday. Okay, definitely Thursday or Friday for sure. I'll be able to do one. Javier says middle school is years 6 through 8. Yeah, well that's what I'm talking about. 6th grade, I didn't know anything. I remember 7th grade. Yeah, I've told this story before. I was not even a conservative, but I was very anti-PC, anti-feminist. I've always been that, okay? And so were all my friends. It was the natural inclination. It's funny. And then everyone went to middle school, high school, and people just changed, and I didn't. Burgundy Blue says, Vince, for $2, thank you very much, says Vince is literally the main character. No, it's true. Who's the main character in the Matrix movie? Like, that's actually, I mean, that's all of us, but it's true, because all the people I went to middle school with, we used to all like say the same things and laugh together at this stuff. And then, you know, I'm one of the only ones who held on to that and actually became conservative later in my life because of it. Except for that one, there's one guy, okay? I've told this before, but that one Armenian Chad, okay, the Armenian Chad, who he was, because I did not even support Trump in middle school. I was just anti-PC. He was the one supported Trump, 100% conservative already in middle school. He is still around today. He never caved. Okay, that's part of why, as I always say, we love my Armenians. Okay, they're our people. They get it. It's true. We love our Armenians because he's the only one. And then he actually years later DM'd me like, "Yo, like, you know what I mean?" And then we're like, "It's cool." Okay, so shout out to him. I'm not gonna say his name, because I don't know if he wants me to. But shout out to him, okay? He knows who he is. He knows who he is. My Armenian best friend. Let's go. But dude, I remember it. He and this one feminist girl. Okay, there's also here's the thing, okay? So he was like the antagonist / protagonist, right? But in my middle school, he was the loud conservative guy. This one girl who she like in 8th grade cut her hair to a bowl cut, like totally short, you know, total like, you know, but that was the chief feminist. And I was like the guy in the middle who was just anti-politically correct and talked, you know what I mean? I was like anti-woke, but I wasn't really conservative either, and so I was in the middle. But yeah, I remember that. And so I used to like watch them two fight, and I always sided more with the conservative guy. And then, but yeah, I remember he used to just intentionally provoke her like every single week. It was amazing. It was like, because he also had guts. Okay, this kid had guts. So he would just go out there and say it, and it was wonderful. And then I remember at the end of 8th grade, I just stayed away from her for a while. I got into it with her, and it was a big fight on social media, and we had this huge debate on public Instagram about freaking feminism. I remember that. That was a time. That was an interesting time in my life. Okay. There's something about grade school that I kind of miss. Is that a midlife crisis thing? I don't know. Maybe it is. I miss the conflict. Like, unironic, I miss the conflict. Because now I'm in college and all my friends are conservative, and it's like, you know, there's never, it's just big, right? That person-to-person drama doesn't happen like it used to. It used to happen. I miss those days. I miss the days when, like, you had to be known as the class conservative because everyone knew each other, right? Those were the times. Those were the times. Ali says, Vince, how did Daily Wire get banned? Go back in the replay. You can scroll back. We talked about it already. Just rewatch it on the replay. Supreme Bagel says, what's good, Vince? Gagey B-boys send their regards. So true. I'll be seeing them, what, next week? 2 weeks from now? I'll be seeing them soon. Very cool. I'm thinking we should do a cigar stream at their house, okay? I can't do cigar streams in here because it's indoors and, you know, an apartment. And I don't have a balcony, but they have a yard. So I'm thinking we should do that. That'd be cool. That'd be a cool little Saturday night stream. Imagine that. But anyways, Lizel says there's this one Chad at my high school who's read a whole bunch of perennialism works and tried like 10 religions. Lol. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Vince's leader. It is true. I am Weeda. I am Weeda. Magadonian says rice hat time. What do you mean, right? Okay, if you guys want rice hat time, we have to hit what? We're at $50 in super chats. We're gonna need at least 70 or 80 if you want rice hat. The rice hat is a privilege. Okay, you have to pay 50 cent every rice hat second. What do you want? Okay, so I'm gonna be Asian about it. I really am. You know. A sale? What is sale? Okay, we don't know what that is. We don't know what that is. You pay me money or you no get. Okay, you get out my store. It's true. You get out my store. You get out my store. Just saying. That's the policy. Okay. It says it on every single plastic bag I give you that says thank you, thank you, thank you. For some reason they can't say thank you once. You know, it's got to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's very clearly written in the fine print. You just he's got to read it there. YouTube won't let you smoke on stream either. That's not true. I see people smoke on stream all the time. Since when? Let me see. Can you smoke cigars on YouTube? I think there's at least videos on YouTube how to smoke a cigar. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think you just made that up. I've seen plenty of that. People literally smoke weed on YouTube. People review marijuana on YouTube, and marijuana is not even legal everywhere. So, but anyways, Burgundy Blue for $20. Yeah, the vape pen. People freak all the time. Yeah, exactly. Burgundy Blue for $20. Thank you very much. Says it is Rahat time. Oh, but Burgundy Blue. It says we're at $68.95. I might need another $2 there, Burgundy. Yeah, I'm gonna. That's what the chat revenue says. $68.95. I need another $2. I need another $195. Okay, I'm gonna be very Asian about this entire situation. You want Asian VinceDao, you're gonna get the Asian treatment. Oh, hello there. Bing bong. Every bing bong 2 cents. What you want? It's true. Every bing bong 2 cents. So if you want it, then that's the deal. Friendly Medic says weed. Friendly Medic, you missed it. We were watching like a 5-hour-long video the other night. And one time the word weed was brought up, like 4 hours in. And you know what we hit him with? Weed? It is true. 50 plus 20 equals 70. Why? Round it up. We were actually at $48.95. There we go. There's the $2. Romanov's 5'8". Lionov, sorry, Romanov. That's actually that's an old monarchy in Russia. Lionel's Romans 5'8" for $2. Thank you very much. Says come follow at Romans 5'8" meme network. Here's $2. Thank you for the $2. Sam Madsen for $2 says the 2-year anniversary of 714 is coming up soon. The problem is, Sam Madsen, I can't even celebrate it this time because no one was even there for 714. How many subs did we have for 714? Like 10K? That's a problem. We've grown too big. I don't even think we can celebrate it again because nobody knows what it is. But anyways, all right. All right, where's Rye Hat? We actually have 2 Rye Hat. We have The red one and the yellow one. Let's see. Let's maybe bust out the other one, because we showed they sent me 2 apparently. I thought I was only gonna get 1. Apparently there's actually 2 of these. So this is the other one they sent me. Now the problem is this one doesn't have a strap, right? The little straps here, so I might just have to get the red one. Okay. But see, it goes over my eyes. You ever played the game Mini Ninjas? I look like the villagers from Mini Ninjas because it doesn't have. I think they sent me the thing, but it didn't come with the little like built-in things. So I'm a true Asian in the sense that I can't even see. YouTube, I'm Asian. Okay, that's a joke. Oh, hello, hello. So that's the problem. I might just get the other one. I'm gonna be honest. Like, look at this. I'm like, this is how half of our race, probably more than that. This is how 85% of our race drives. That's why, they put this over it, and then they're like, oh, I go too much 5 lane now. Okay, I'll the. Okay, and before people say you're perpetuating racist, I'm literally Asian. I'm allowed to say it, but it's also true. Okay, it's also true. You want to tell? Do you know one of the most dangerous places to be in the entire world for traffic reasons? Never go to the parking lot of an Asian supermarket. It's true. It's I back up now, and then you are at high risk of getting run over by a car. It's true. It's true. But this is the reason why. You ever wonder why? This is why. Because we all are like this, so we can't see the road. That's the reason. Anyways. Oh, hello. See, I love. One of the perks in modern America of being a minority, okay, which I feel like I got to use the benefits that I have, is that you can make jokes that, other people are quote unquote not allowed. You know what I mean? I mean that, like, because by the social standards, not allowed to make. And so I will say I quite enjoy it. Friendly Medic for $5 says Vince going through his Beanson arc with smoking on stream. Thank you for the $5, Friendly Medic. Okay, but I don't smoke freaking Marlboro Red, nor do I smoke them every single day. Okay, I don't smoke freaking gas station cigarettes. I do consider that trashy. Okay. But a nice cigar with the boys, that's traditional. I think that's cool. But yeah, if I'm not careful, that's how I'm gonna end up, on Omegle smoking gas station cigarettes. It's so true, so true. Thank you for the $5, Friendly Medic. Burgundy for $2 says, I'm not racist, but I'm literally dying right now. Thank you for the $2. I mean, oh, you mean you think jokes are funny? You think stereotypical humor is funny? Guess what? Everyone thinks that, but we're not allowed to say it because cancel culture. So that's why it's like, and I to some degree, because of big tech and all that, I have to play in those guidelines too, which is why I'm very fortunate that I have some minority status I can carry, so that way I can be politically incorrect. So I can be like, oh, hello there, oh, welcome to, and then what are you gonna say? What are they gonna say? They can say what they said after Vice, which is that I'm a self-hating Asian, but I don't really care about that. You say whatever the heck you want to say. I just want the right to be able to make funny jokes. It's very true. Sam Matson for $2 says Asians are awful on the golf course as well. Well, I am awful on the golf course because I've only played golf like once, and I didn't know how to do it. There's a video of me somewhere on the internet where I'm literally like, I swung for the ball and I just missed the ball because I have never played before. But I don't know if that's always true. Because I remember some Asian kids who were on the golf team who were pretty good, because it's a very like Asian sport, because it's a sport a lot of Asian boys would want to sign up for because it was easy, right? Because it wasn't like it wasn't physically rigorous. So I don't know, but thank you for the $2. Burgundy Blue for $5 say, Vince, you look more Italian the older you get. You gotta use it before you lose it, lol. Thank you for the $5. It is so true. I don't know what's going on there, okay? But remember that, and I never really noticed this about myself, but if you look at my videos of when I was young, my older videos, I don't know what's happening to me, but I'm becoming more mixed over time. Because if you look at my old videos, I just look totally Asian. And now I feel like you can tell I'm mixed. Like you can see it in me. You can see. My eyes are literally getting bigger. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, so yeah, maybe I have the Michael Jackson disease, right? I'm just gonna morph into but it is true. Yeah, I do have to enjoy it while I can, because if this strange developmental process in my face continues, I'm not even gonna be able to have the pass anymore. So I have to continue for now. Oh. Brian E. say, Vindao, you should go to Chinatown in Orlando and film street content with hat. Oh, but why ask him? How would that even be interesting, though? They're literally just gonna be. First of all, it's a Vietnamese hat, but there is a Vietnamese town. They'd be like, "Oh, very good hat. Oh, I like. You look handsome." Literally, like half my family. Oh, you look good. It's true. Very true. Dr. Smegma says some Asians are pretty damn good at golf. Well, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about there. Golf is the most Asian guy sport there is, because it doesn't really take cardio or strength. To some degree it does, but you know what I mean. It's more like technique and practice. And so you just, oh, you play golf. Oh. And think Asians, I mean, we have kung fu, we have the powers of yoga fire. You know, all of us Asians were born with it. Andrew Tate always claims he has it, and maybe he does, but I think he culturally appropriated it because we're all actually born with yoga fire. So we can do things. It's just not basketball. Yeah. Let's see. Victor Moda says you're waking up, lol. Please no. You're waking up. Please no ban me. I'm Asian too. Oh, I no ban you. Don't worry, Victor. You're endorsed by our corrupt third world Asian regime. Let's see here. Sam Matson for $2 says they're always just slow on the golf course. Maybe they're just Asian, okay? Maybe because we can't drive the golf carts. Have you considered that as the alternative reason? Ah! You know, the golf cart just goes swerving. Have you considered that? Maybe that's why they're slow. You don't know that they can't play. Just because they're slow, it's probably because they can't drive the golf carts. That's the reason. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, let's see. Question, Vince. Do you think Hunter Avalon has any... Oh, sorry. Question, Vince. Do you think Hunter Avalon have any redeemed quality, or is he destined to be Zayed wife? Oh, no like Hunter Avalon. Oh. Hunter Avalon, no good. No good quality, no good quality, no good. Okay. Carice says, hey Vince, I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm in Dallas, Texas right now, and you were right, the buildings are ugly. Exactly, Carice. Dallas is one of the ugliest cities in the entire country. It's brutal. It's like brutal to look at. It is very true. It's very true. Kair St. Joseph says, I never noticed that. I thought it's because the rice was already over there. Are you talking about the golf course? I don't know. Burgundy Blue for $10 say you going to morph into racist Italian grandpa from Staten Island who complained about Chinese in southern Brooklyn, even though he sold house in Brooklyn to a Chinese. Burgundy Blue, that very specific super chat. I no understand. I just small Asian man. I have no I don't know. I don't understand. I don't speak the English. It's so true. Thank you for the $10, Burgundy Blue. You guys, I think you gotta watch out for that, because I feel like if I wear this hat and I keep wearing it, I'm just gonna morph back. Okay. If I style up myself enough, I'm gonna look like I just came straight from the Orient. Okay. And sound like it too. So I think this is the case. Brian E said, I had a layover in Austin and there were pride flags everywhere in the airport. It's like the San Francisco of Texas. So true. You know, funny story. When I first became conservative, I really wanted to go to UT, University of Texas, because I thought, I heard you could conceal carry there, which you can because Texas state law. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And I assumed, I always heard, people told me Austin is a liberal city. And I'm like, I'm from California. You guys don't know what that means. I was always at my mentality. I was like, no way. And then we went there 2018 for actually the USC Texas game. And so we visited the campus. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is actually San Francisco. And Berkeley, I mean, UT is actually UC Berkeley. So it's not an exaggeration at all. Yeah, it's baffling how that even exists in Texas. But, you know, it's crazy because here in Florida, even in the bluest areas, Orlando, where I am, Tallahassee, even there, you still see a healthy mix of Republicans. You still do. You'll see the trucks. You'll see the Austin, Texas. I swear, it's like San Francisco. It's overrun. It's crazy. It's crazy. Sam Matson, $2. Say Vince owned by Fauci, Big Pharma, Bud Light. Oh, no good. No, not true. Not true. Why you why? Sam Matson, why you why? Sam Matson is rying. Indeed, rying. Okay. All right, so it is 9:25. Like I said, we have a hard deadline tonight. We're going to be ending the stream at 9:30. So any last super chats, comments, questions you got? Last call. We're closing out the bar, chat. Close out your tabs now because we got about 5 minutes left here, ladies and gentlemen. So any last support you want to send in, be sure to send it in now. I close. You get out my store. You get out store. Okay, we're closing. Please get out. And you know how we are, okay? No, can I stay and dine? You already made the food. No, you get out store. You want to go? You want to go? Okay. So either send them in now or your order is to go. Okay, you have to go. So this is the truth. This is the truth. Scott Coding says, Vince, what's your advice for us Canada bros up in our necks in woke? Scott, I mean, I don't have a solution directly because I don't know enough about what Canada is like and so hence how to fight back in Canada. What I will say is I heard Alberta is nice if you want to go there. If not, I mean, just the generic things like get involved in your community, find an alliance of conservatives, all of that stuff. But I don't understand the political situation in Canada specifically enough to really have an answer other than move to Alberta or shoot. Our immigration system is so broken. You might as well just move to the United States. Find a way in, you know? At least freaking you can help us fight some of the numeric warfare being waged by the rest of the immigration system, right? So honestly, beyond that, I don't know, you know? Just do your best. Get involved locally, you know? Do all that. The only problem with getting involved locally is I don't know if that even works because, you know, in America, anywhere you go locally, you're going to find your conservatives. Do true conservatives even exist in Canada? Not really, you know? So it's like... but anyways... If you're in Canada, vote for the CPC and pray. Someone says I voted for the PPC. See, chat, let me just say one thing before we end the stream. A lot of you guys come in and say if we had the two-party system is the problem. And I actually defend the two-party system because I always point out, I mean, all that happens without a two-party system is you have a more divided party. Look at this in the chat. The Canadians are fighting whether to vote for the Conservative Party or what's the PPC, the People's Party, right? Which is the Populist Party, the real Conservative Party. Do you guys see what happens? You guys just split the vote and then neither one wins and you have a bunch of Justin Trudeau runs wild everywhere, right? I want you people to understand that is what would happen in the United States if we had a multi-party system. It's true. I don't like it. I don't like it. But anyways, all right, last few super chats here, ladies and gentlemen. Supreme Leader Admiral Alexander Yamamoto for $2 say, Vince, you work like you work in library for real. For real, for real. So true. For real, for real. For real, for real. Thank you, Supreme Leader. Appreciate super chat. I know work in library. I work in walk. I work at She Walk. I work at She Walk, okay? So, burgundy blue for should I just keep reading them in this voice? Why not? Last few super chats will be read in this voice. Burgundy blue for $5. Say vote for People Party of Canada. It based far right party that compete against conservative. They are populist. Burgundy blue, I understand they better, but I also say why they divide the vote. I know like multi-party system too complicated. Too complicated. I like simple. I like easy to understand. Make the money, just take a vote. I don't want to be, oh, why there's so many party? There's a party here, party there. Okay. You know, in Vietnam, there's just two things. They're north-south, okay? North-south, communist, no communist, okay? That's it. There's no, oh, let's have the one here and the east and west. It's like saying east-west. It's all confusing. It don't make that sense. Okay, you need to just have two party, okay? And people always say we would fix system if we have more party. That don't work like that, okay? It no fix the fact that people ideologically divide, okay? It no fix that. It would not change that, but it would make people divide against each other, and then we're like, oh, you know, used to be at my pho restaurant, at Lo Dang pho restaurant, okay? And two pho restaurant, and that's it, okay? But now we have, you know, the Chinese restaurant here, Japanese there, hot pot here, hot pot there, boba here. How are you supposed to compete? It's very confusing. And there's why the two-party system is actually a good thing. And people who think they're speaking up against the establishment or fixing the system by being against it actually just don't know what they're talking about and have not critically thought about it. And that's actually the wrong take to say that we having a multi-party system would fix this country. It actually just make things worse and make things more liberal. And with that said, last super chat here, Burgundy Blue for $2 says, it's so simple in China, only one party. $2, thank you, Burgundy Blue. So true. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to leave a like on the stream before you go. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We will be live. We will be live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, as usual. So be sure to join us then. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a very good day. Okay, thank you. Come again. That's the Indian thing. What's the Asian thing? I don't know. Hear your food get out? I don't know. Okay, but thank you very much. Bing bong. Bing bong. Have a good night. Bing bong. Come on.